Hey, what is going on, everybody? Scary Spikes here, welcoming you back to some more coverage here on the channel. This time we're taking a look at the Legacy of the Void beta, which I've been very interested to check out. So today's going to be a very basic video. We're going to be just focusing on the aesthetic of the game. We're going to be going through menus and options and things like that, and possibly even dive into some tutorial missions just to get your feet wet before we really start to get into the action. That's probably important because there are a lot of new changes and units in Legacy of the Void that are going to be affecting the pace of the game, as well as allowing for a little bit more harassment. So the actions per minute obviously a little bit more important in this case, to be able to do more things in less time, but unfortunately that's sort of detracting from new players coming in. It certainly has a higher barrier of entry in my opinion, but then again, you know, if you've had a game up for a couple of years or a few years like Starcraft has been, you don't really want to cater to new players after, you know, several years. Of course, you want to make it easy enough for new players to enter even several years after the game was launched, but you can imagine that the people that are playing now are playing at the level where they don't need to go through these very basic mechanisms of learning how to play and learning the units. They've already gone ahead and done that. So improving the system to make it better for the majority, I think, is a good move on Blizzard's part. So why don't we get into it here? We're going to start by looking at the options menu, which is actually surprisingly full-featured for the beta. So we go ahead and go into options here. We've got graphics, sound, voice, controls, gameplay, social, and language. Like I mentioned, there's just quite a lot. And I remember doing the Diablo 3 beta, and I remember that during the Diablo 3 beta, there weren't quite as many choices here as there are here. So that's really nice that they've basically gone ahead and put all these different choices and all these different sliders. I gotta love sliders as a PC gamer, although I did actually just buy an Xbox One and I do have a PS4 at home, so don't go all hating on me. I do have both consoles and I do enjoy them, but I do enjoy my PC games, of course. So going through here, looking at some of the voice chat settings, which is actually pretty cool. You can do your microphone test here, as well as change the way that you speak from push to talk to just voice activated, and again, a lot of different little sliders to adjust the game to your preference. It's not the greatest quality, to be honest with you. It would still be preferable to use something like TeamSpeak or something else that's like a Ventrilo or another third-party voice program, perhaps even Skype. Everybody's got their own preferences, but it's nice to know that if you don't have any of those things, that this is offered as a native feature within the game. So very nice to see that. Some more options for controls, especially since this is obviously a PC game. We've got a lot of mouse and scrolling controls in terms of speed and smoothness and all that kind of good stuff, so that's really cool. And then we've got the gameplay expansion level, obviously Legacy of the Void. This is actually kind of important because if you want to play against other people who may not have that expansion yet, you can definitely tone it down a little bit. Of course, in the beta, that's not going to be really wise to do, considering that everybody that's in the beta has this expansion. But once the expansion goes live, you're going to be able to choose whether you want to play only with units and changes from the previous Heart of the Swarm or just the vanilla experience of the Wings of Liberty. So that's pretty cool that you can do that, as well as many other options here. I'm going to let you pause the video and go ahead and read through those because it would take a little bit too long to go through each and every one. Social, mainly the social area here for managing your friends' requests being blocked from certain players, blocked communications from blocked players, and then of course the toast notifications, which allow you to see who is speaking within the game during their time on the air, so to speak. And then of course the mature language filter, which we'll go ahead and remove, and other chat and privacy options here as well. And then finally down to language, very easy, but this is actually really interesting. What does it say? Changing this option requires a game restart. So the speech and movie language is actually available in all these languages. That's actually really cool, and it's nice that Polish is here too, because I'm Polish, so I would be able to play the game in that language. But to be honest, you know, I haven't really spoken or written or read the language in some time. It's been quite a while. I'm still fairly fluent, but we're going to keep it on English here, and the text language as well. Lots of choices. So if you're an international player, if you somehow get your hands, I don't know if the Legacy of the Void beta is offered natively in other countries in different languages, but at least if you end up getting this version of it, it does come with all these different languages that you can select, which is really nice. You can play in your own home language, and then of course you've got hotkeys here, which you can bind to many different things and many different game functions as well. So lots of customizability here, and why don't we just go ahead and accept this and accept that. And we're going to quickly go down to the help screen here, which is going to show us a plethora of options for learning how to play the game. So like I mentioned before, unfortunately some of the changes in Legacy of the Void, such as basically taking advantage of higher actions per minute and increasing the amount of harassment that's happening early game, is not exactly going to be suitable for players who are just getting into the game. But fortunately there's a really great opportunity here to learn about all the different things that make this game up, including all the different minerals and things you can mine and how you can interact with certain things. There's Protoss, Zerg, and Terran units here, as well as their respective trees, the tech trees that you can study very carefully to see which path you'd like to take, of course depending on the strategy that you have. So really cool, and you can learn about each of the individual units here, which is really nice. They've got the little models of them and everything, and they've also got all their abilities and everything else lined up here for you to read. So really cool. If all you want to do for a day is just sit here and read this stuff and learn how to play the game or learn more about the game, I'm sure it'll make you a better player. But first and foremost, I do want to go through the tutorial as I did with Heroes of the Storm, just to kind of get your feet wet and see what this game is all about and be able to practice some of these maneuvers without getting absolutely stomped in multiplayer. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so unfortunately the tutorial is not available, and I'm not really quite sure why. I should have actually preemptively checked that out before I ended up just doing it live, but nevertheless, the tutorial is not available right now, so we won't be able to go through that. Hopefully that's something that they're working on right now. Of course, they want to figure out the multiplayer first, which is probably the more important part, but nevertheless, I'm sure that's going to be available sometime soon. And I think I am going to call it a day, just because, like I said, I haven't had a lot of practice. I would like to play a lot more, so hopefully within the next week or two I'll be able to do some online matches and not look absolutely terrible in the meantime. What I do want to show you next week for sure is the new Archon mode and how we can play versus the AI as well as versus live opponents, and how you'll be able to play versus 2 players or versus 1 player who's chosen to play against a team of Archon opponents. So really cool. Check out that video coming up next Monday. And sorry for keeping this kind of short and sweet, but at the same time, like I said, I just wanted to make sure that the content that I put out is going to be good. I don't want you sitting here for half an hour watching a scrub playing at his absolute worst, so at least let me practice a little bit. Hopefully next week and the week after I'll be a little bit better. We'll start things off a little bit on the softer side, playing the Archon mode with some cooperative friends against the AI, and then we'll move into some matchmaking, which is, actually, let's check that out really quickly here. The unranked matchmaking is really the only thing that's available at the moment, and as you can see here, the Archon mode is not available for multiplayer play versus other opponents, but it is actually available. If we go back here into custom games, it is actually available in co-op versus AI, so you can set up the game however you like. I know it says easy here, but once you hit join game, which actually, I don't know how long this is going to take, but once you hit join game, and when you get into the game, if you are the leader, so it looks like, okay, all games are currently full, and we became the host here. So once you go into this screen here, you'll be able to choose the difficulty against which you're playing, which right now, of course, is just easy because that's how the game is set. But you'll be able to choose what race, what faction they're playing, as well as what build. If you want practice against a rush build, against a timed attack build, or an aggressive rush, you can change their colors, as well as changing your own faction color here as well, and changing handicaps as you see fit. So let's quit out of this before we actually find the teammate to play with, and that's something just you'll be able to look forward to seeing next week and the weeks to come. So hopefully you enjoyed this short little introduction to Legacy of the Void beta. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me. I do apologize about the tutorial. I didn't really have a lot of time to really dive into this game before I started to air and make videos and stuff. So perhaps I should have taken a little bit of time, but I've just been incredibly busy. Work is keeping me very busy at home, as well as, of course, at work and my day job. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you liked what you saw, make sure to thumb up. If not, thumbs down, but let me know why in the comment section below. If you have any ideas or suggestions about what you'd like to see in the future as well, make sure to let me know, and keep it locked here for more gaming content. And make sure to check out sspgaming.blogspot.com for all the news that is happening on the channel. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.